thanks for joining me. My name's Sarah, and today I'm going to walk you through my Viper app. It's a terminal application that teaches you foreign languages. So today we're going to go over the purpose, structure, build process and logic, the features, and the challenges that I encountered whilst I was making the app. So the purpose of the app. Why did I create this? In university, I studied French, and I always found it difficult, to write out all the words that you're learning, make flashcards, all that sort of stuff. So it sort of goes off my personal experience with language. I always sort of wish that there was a way to digitalize what I was learning, in a way that helped me actually study. And I think in today's day and age, it's really helpful to have things that are digital and make it easy for students to engage and, create these study aids that are sort of personalized to them. The structure of the app. So the Viper app features a main menu, which users can access from all three modes. When I say modes, there's a translator mode, a learning mode, and a quiz mode. So learning mode populates from the user's CSV files, and then the quiz mode also populates from the CSV files, but there is a time component included in that one. In the quiz mode, there's also an output of a text file that shows quiz metrics. And then lastly, the user also has the ability at any point to exit or return home throughout any input point throughout the application. So the build process. So at the start, I wasn't really sure how to go about this. I sort of started with the translator at the start just because there was a Google Trans API. So it made it a little bit easier in the sense that I didn't need to pull any information from my own files or anything like that. My next goal was to set up the points of user input because if you don't have input in your application, then the user can't really interact with it. So this was pretty important. Then I needed to work out how to convert the user's file name. So when they input what file they want to study, how I was going to convert that into an actual path that the program could read for both the quiz and the learning mode. That was a pretty major component, just because, if you can't read the files, then the whole app doesn't really work. Lastly, just to buff out basic logic, so I needed to include the quiz timer, which I ended up using threading. And then I also wanted to output that text file that I mentioned earlier that showed some of the quiz metrics like percentage of words guessed correctly, how many rounds they played, how long they spent on each round, sort of stuff like that they could review and feel acquainted to. So as I mentioned, the three main features include the translator, which uses the Google Trans API, and it translates between any of the recognized languages. I believe there's 106 at the moment. The learning mode, which reads from the user files and then asks the user to translate the words from one language to the other. They can determine which one they want to do. At the moment, this only supports CSV file formats. Lastly, there's the quiz mode, which is quite similar to learning mode. However, it incorporates a timer, and they only get one shot at each question, whereas learning mode, they get 3 shots per question. So as I said, the Google Translator imports that Google Trans package, and it matches user input to key value pairs in the pre-populated dictionary. So the Google Trans API actually already has a pre-filled dictionary. So I've implemented that into my code and then called whatever value is necessary based on the key that the user has entered. So here's a code snippet. So as you can see in line 26, we're asking the user for the origin language. And then line 27, it's going through that dictionary and saying, hey, if this value matches what they've just said, assign the matching key to this variable called original key in line 29. So it does that for both the origin and the desired. And then line 38 and 39, I've converted the string to a text blob because text blob has, as you can see in line 43, that translate function. And then you can just put the from lang and the to, and then assign the keys that we've just assigned up above in 29 and 35, and then translate it. Next up is learning mode. I think I've already touched on this, but you can import any CSV that you like. There obviously is a sort of stylistic method that you have to follow, and you can find that in the user documentation and help guide. I've also imported pathlib, to assign that whatever file that they say, assign it to a relevant path. And then I created a list of lists per row to be indexed appropriately in that mode. So here you can see in lines 106 on the left image, 106 to 109, we're saying, hey, if they say this, if they type English, then I want this to be the practice language, and vice versa. If we go down to the while loop in line 115, that's using the pathlib to assign whatever they input and create a path from it. So line 120 is creating that path. And then if we go over to the right photo, it's we're passing those arguments back into that function called learning mode, and then using it as such throughout the rest of the code. Quiz mode uses the same logic as learning mode, but you only get one guess per question. It outputs the text file, like I mentioned, and it utilizes threading, which allows the timer to run in the background of when the quiz starts. So let's just take a look at the code snippets. So in that top image, in the bottom image, we're asking the user how much time they want in seconds. So that's setting up what we're going to pass to the timer. In the middle image, that's the function for the timer. So that's the setup in regards to that. I haven't included the threading snippet, but if you'd like to check that out, you can check it out on my repository in the actual code. And then that top image is just populating the automated text file that gets generated when they finish the quiz. So you can, as you can see, I use f strings, and I've used variables that I've already filled and assigned values to output that text. Let's have a look at the application. So I'm already in the Viper application. I've already set up my run script I've already run my setup and run my run script. So if we press 1, it takes us into translator. So let's just put in English. And if we want to go to French and we want to say, hello, my name is Sarah. And it will output, as you can see, it's highlighted green, and then the menu pops up. So like I said, you can access all the modes from any of the other modes. So if we want to go to quiz mode, and then we want to do French months, I know that this one's populated, so we can do French months. And if I just want to do 5 seconds, just so I can show you, you can press yes, or you can type anything. Obviously, the relevant output message will show based on what you type. But once I click yes, that will start the quiz, and it will also start the timer. So let's see if I can get them right under pressure. Oh, okay, so see, the timer ran out. I can't enter anything else. Press enter to see your results. And there's the score. So because I entered that S in the third question, it's counting it as incorrect. So I've only got 1 out of 3 right. Usually I do a bit better. But as you can see, if you want to go home, you can go back to the home menu. And if I take exit, it'll exit. So that's the gist of my app. I hope you liked it. If you've got any questions, leave a comment or feel free to reach out to me. Check out my GitHub repository. You can find all the source control there, help documentation, setup guide, everything that you might need. Some challenges included working out the threading, but in the end we got there, so that's okay. Yeah, I think that was probably the hardest part, just getting that timer to run simultaneously. Anyways, check it out. If you've got time, leave a like, anything. Okay, thanks so much for joining.